All right, welcome back. We begin with our GMC Sierra tweet of the night, Tom Pelissero. He wrote this out, NFL Insider. The Steelers have received trade calls. That's not a surprise on Mason Rudolph. But at this point, they've been reluctant to deal him. Rudolph is on the books for $3 million this season. Salary's $5 million, but that's the cap hit. Pittsburgh isn't giving him away, even if he's third behind Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. And that's the way I see it right now. Chris, we got a tweet also from Moonlight Graham, who says, is there a team that would want Rudolph? Of course. Did you see Detroit play yesterday? And I think they got rid of Tim Boyle tonight, although Blau didn't do anything to blow me away either. I don't know. There's so many needs for backup quarterback. So there could be an offer, but it looks like the Steelers are going to play hardball with this because they believe that they need three, at least one insurance policy. What do you think it would take for the Steelers to make a deal?
It seems like it would take a fourth-round pick at the very least because they're being very bullheaded about this. I have a lot of thoughts. I mean, one, how fatalistic is it to keep a guy tacitly or hold out for an offer that probably won't materialize, Bob, for the sole reason that you're acknowledging that your offensive line is so bad that it might get the first two guys ahead of him on the depth chart hurt. So that's one thing. Also, you could maybe get a pick and a Rudolph deal back that would help ease the sting of a potential trade that you might have to make to bolster your offensive line. So that might be just good roster management to actually deal him. Here's the other thing, and this is what kind of bugs me. There is an idea, if you don't believe, or if you believe like he could save the season, if the first two guys get hurt, and he can be a good enough Band-Aid. For how long? We've seen Mason Rudolph have to come in and try to ride to the rescue, and he didn't do it, and he gave way to Devlin Hodges. So what do people think is going to happen if Pickett and Trubisky are both out for like 4 or 5 weeks? Do we really believe in this town that Mason Rudolph, who was benched for a guy who's long now out of the NFL, is going to be the savior? I just don't see it, and that's why I would trade him, even for a fifth, probably even for a sixth at this point.
I think, though, he is a better quarterback than that experience. There was a lot that went on in his season that year, from concussions to separated shoulder to Myles Garrett trying to hit him on the head, and all of that went into it. But, yes, I agree with what you're saying. And I think eventually, I think Mason's a better quarterback. I think he's better than a lot of backups out there. So if you're looking to bring somebody in, that could be it. All right, let's go to our number one Cochrane Go One Better call of the night here to start us off, and that would be Matt in Butler. Matt, what's going on? Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, guys. Good evening.
Hi.
Hey, just real briefly, you just have talked about it, but all these injuries, I mean, I'll give you that maybe they shouldn't have all been playing, but it's one half of a preseason game. Over the course of 17 games, how many people are going to go down? Quarterbacks, offense, defense was as bad as the line is. I mean, we're going to need the backup players to be playing. Are we good? Do we have enough depth beyond the starting quarterback? Do we have enough depth anywhere?
Yeah, they have. I think wide receiver is a very deep position. I think defensive line is a very deep position. I think quarterback is a very deep position right now. But there are holes, Chris. There always are, no matter who you are. And the offensive line is one a big hole right now. And I'm not so sure they can just solve it right now. Even I've seen some trades tonight from offensive linemen. The Steelers haven't made one yet. What do you think most likely they do there?
I mean, I think they're going to try to pick up somebody off the scrap heap without making a trade, but I think they might be desperate enough to end up trading if that has to be what they do. But I guess I would imagine the trade would have to be a perfect one for them. So more than likely, they're just going to try to take other people's discards, and when they can make a waiver claim on Wednesday from some of these guys who get cut, try to do that, Bob. But I don't know. I don't see much happening there on that front that's going to be good. I can't see them having a miraculous turnaround. And what's interesting to me about their overall depth, to what Matt there was saying, they don't have a quarterback on an expensive deal anymore. I think it's kind of a bad look that so many spots on their roster, besides the handful you mentioned where there is some depth, look like they're pretty thin. At outside linebacker, Derek Tuska is your third guy? That doesn't seem right. Seems like they got to go out and find somebody to fill that role. They look thin besides outside linebacker and offensive line. They don't have a proven guy behind Najee Harris. Not that we think that'll matter much because he'll probably touch the ball 375 times.
And also, we have not.
It's an interestingly constructed roster.
Yeah, we haven't seen Alex Highsmith. We haven't seen Calvin Austin. Everybody talked about his speed, and he's fast, but we haven't seen it. And I wonder if he specifically is headed to the short-term IR or whatever they use to start the season. So there are a lot of decisions that have to be made by 4 o'clock tomorrow. Meantime, let's go out to John in Venesha. Hey, John, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Good evening, fellas.
Good evening.
I just wanted to chime in on the quarterback situation. I know you've already mentioned this, but with reports saying that Rudolph will stay in the Berg, I think it makes perfect sense. At the beginning of camp, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that he would be traded before the opening weekend. But as everyone's already stated, with the O-line in shambles, it's only a matter of time before we need 3 quarterbacks this season. And despite what Mueller just said, I'd much rather have Mason Rudolph than any other third-string quarterback in the NFL.
Hold on. Do you think though?
Go ahead.
Do you think though that if it gets to Mason Rudolph playing maybe 2 or 3 games, that the season isn't already completely lost? Because I think that's the point you're at. I'm sort of amazed that just the idea is, well, you're going to need all 3 of them, so it's good that they have them around. Again, that suggests that your offensive line's going to be a sieve, and you're probably not going to be winning any games. So what's the point of having Mason Rudolph around if you're a team that's going to finish 5-12?
Well, I think they look back at recent history, and they traded Josh Dobbs, then Ben gets hurt, and then they have one quarterback they got to go out and try to find, and they bring in Hodges. They probably have that fresh in their mind, and I understand it. But you're right. If you get down that far, then things are going to happen here that are not very good for your franchise. I just think they need to shore up what they have. I think. Do you at all factor in that they could get better and, at the start of the regular season, maybe it's a different offensive line? I'm not saying they'll be great, but better than what we've seen and functional anyway.
Okay, here's the best I can come up with. By the way, quick yes or no hypothetical. Give me either or really fast, and I promise I'll answer your question. Would you rather have this current group on the offensive line and Najee Harris like you do, so status quo, or no Harris but Creed Humphrey at center, just for argument's sake?
Well, I like Creed Humphrey. I like Najee Harris. If I had to do it, I'd take the center. I like offensive linemen who are high-end guys. I do. He made a Pro Bowl in his rookie season, right?
I know. He was awesome. He might have been the best center in football by some metrics. PFF adored him last year, and everybody else did too. To answer your question, here's the best I can come up with. Time to be optimistic, Chris. Okay, here's what I got. Dan Moore was average last year. There's no reason, unless he completely forgot how to play tackle, that he can't get back to at least average. Kevin Dotson's going to be the left guard because Kendrick Green is barely an NFL player if he is one at all. I've seen Dotson be good, albeit 2 years ago. Mason Cole could be okay. He's
best
been
of the 5 so
least
far, I think, though.
Yeah, he's been the best of a bad bunch.
Yeah.
We've seen James Daniels be better than this so far, and we've seen Chooks be passable. So if we get all of these guys to their platonic ideal, you might have the makings of a slightly below average to average line, but none of them has shown any sort of tendency like they're going to become that player again.
Yeah. And we've got to go to a break, but what I was going to say is that Mike Tomlin did not like the effort in Jacksonville, basically chewed them out in a meeting, and they came out and did this yesterday, and I didn't expect that after what happened last week. But that's where they are.
Good enough.
Yeah, I know. Well, thought they were, better than what they were last year, and I can't believe it would be going backwards, but so far that's kind of what we see. Hopefully it'll change, hopefully they'll get better, add a player and see what can happen. They may even consider moving Chooks or Okorafor to the other side, which they tried before. I don't know what the answer is right now, but it's got to be individually getting all better so that collectively they have a chance. We got to take a break, we'll take it, come back with more right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Don't go away.